Oh, God.
Dear Doctor, I'm writing to you again today from a star to steer her by, with a couple of new episodes about me learning about people. That sucks. I'm not doing that.
Oh, I
No, you were pulling a Jake. It was going well.
No,
it sounded
doing
nice.
a bit. Everyone should do bits.
Keeping this all in now.
No.
Because it was good. You just lost faith.
I'm glad
Of the heart.
Of the heart.
No.
I'm glad to hear that you're just as interested in our mating rituals as I am with the mating rituals of humans. I asked a couple people recently if I could watch them bang. They said no.
And yet I don't like being touched. Fuck you.
I was actually thinking that. I said that while we were watching. I was like, that's why mating season is so horrible. They don't like being touched.
Well, no, it's the one time they do touch, I think, and they go ape shit.
I don't know. Anyway, since I couldn't watch any of my colleagues fuck, I decided to watch a movie instead. And then I watched 2 episodes of Star Trek Enterprise.
Perfect
Dear
intro.
Doctor and Sleeping Dogs. My name is Caitlin, and joining me today are...
Jakey.
Lieutenant Reed's oddly thin lips.
Postscript, this is Ames.
And this is episode, I just knew it a minute ago, 323.
Woo!
I know, and that means it's my turn to introduce again.
That's a palindrome number. That's the first palindrome number, the last palindrome number we're going to have until episode 333.
That's not that far off.
That's going to be
So
tens of days from now.
We'll still be an Enterprise.
But then we won't have another one
There we
until
go.
343.
No, this really is unimpressive.
Yeah.
No, you're right. It's amazing. Every time we get to another palindrome, it's amazing.
I liked it
Once
better.
we're up to 1,000 episodes, that's when shit'll get good. 1,001, we're not going to have another one of these until...
1,111.
Ooh,
That's a lot.
binary.
That's 110
Yeah.
more, so that's impressive. Anyway, so today we're talking about 2 more episodes of Enterprise, Dear Doctor, and Sleeping Dogs.
Oh, wow.
Bow wow indeed. In Dear Doctor, my goodness, we have so many plots. Phlox is... Well, this is a Phlox episode, and...
Just as everyone wanted.
It was
Yep,
bound to
it's
be
what I
one
was
eventually.
asking for. I was like, oh, good, now I'll get to know Phlox, and maybe I'll grow to understand and love him.
Nope, he's Hitler.
Yeah, he sucks. I hate him. Well, we can discuss that. Anyway, in a way, he isn't Hitler.
In a way, he's girls.
In a way, he's Mengele.
In a way, he's Goering. Okay, so there's a lot going on in this episode. First, and awkwardly and suddenly, apparently... a member of the crew has, like, a crush on Phlox, and he's being all gross, and, like, I don't know. I can't...
It's Cutler, who we've met before.
Yeah, I know, I recognized her and was like, where have I seen her before? And Chris was like, an episode of the show, and I was like, oh, is that what it is? So, anyway.
She spent most of it passed out, so it's fine.
So she is apparently crushing on Phlox, which, why? I kind of would side with DePaul that it's just that she wants a little fresh alien weird, but that's just me. So Cutler's got a crush on Phlox, and he's not really sure what to do about it. Phlox has a pen pal back in his home planet. What kind of person is he again?
A human.
Phlox?
Oh, Flux is a Denobulan.
Denobulan. So back on Denobula, in the Deno Nebula, getting to know his people, as he did in San Francisco. But yeah, so he's writing, he's got his little pen pal. That's cute. It's not really. Let's see, that's the C and B plots. What's the real plot of this episode? Oh, the real plot of this episode is we have found yet another, like, just drifting spaceship with weak life signs. We bring them on.
Is it Khan?
Not this time,
Damn
sadly.
it. Rats.
Was actually, when was Khan? No, Khan was the 90s that he got shot into space?
Yeah.
He's floating around out there somewhere.
So
At
it's
this point,
it's
yeah.
possible, but oh my god, do they meet Khan?
They can't. He's frozen until the 2260s.
That doesn't mean they can't, like, spot him and be like, oh, there he is.
Oh, what is that? The Botany Bay?
Botany
Bay?
Bay!
Oh no!
It's closer to us in time, so we know not to stop there. That would be kind of funny,
It would be
actually.
funny. Fuck that. So the big A plot is that these
Capital
folks, capital A, is that these folks that are drifting around in this ship, they're sick, and their people are sick. Millions of people are dying, and they've been out and about searching for someone to help them find a cure. They're not yet warp capable, but they do know some warp capable species, including the Ferengi, which
Never
I
heard
thought
of
was
them.
exciting. I bet the Ferengi tried to sell them some fucking snake oil. Who wants to bet? Like, yeah, this will fix you.
It'll only cost you this entire planet.
And because Archer's a big softie, he's like, Phlox, go cure their sickness. So these are the Valakian people. Thank you, Ames. And they live on their planet with another group of people who they say are lesser evolved, called the Menk. The Menk are not sick.
But they are a different species.
They are different species, and they kind of have this symbiosis situation going on. Kind of. We'll talk about it.
It's like the Gungans and the Naboo.
So Phlox is, doing his thing and taking blood samples, and Hoshi is learning languages, and oh god, it's the same old thing. But Phlox discovers that the reason why these people are dying is because they're having like some kind of genetic degradation that's been going on for like millennia, and he could cure them, but it's like this is the final point of their evolution and they're sort of meant to die, and apparently. So he doesn't want to save them and fuck with that. And Archer kind of seems like he might be on the fence and want to play a little god, but instead...
Watching Chris shake his head at that, I love it.
He gives us a great speech about how one day... they're gonna come up with rules, and when they come up with that
vomiting so hard
directive,
ooh,
he wants to. It is a good. Oh my god, a directive! It'll be the first one. It'll be like what's a good word for first? A prime directive.
Oh.
And until then, he doesn't want to be out here playing God. So they're like, fuck him, let him die, and the end. But they do give them some cold medicine and are like, this will make you feel better for like a decade. Good luck, you're going to be dead in 200 years.
Fucking bozos.
Bye!
What's so fucking frustrating about that
Here we go.
bit
We're diving in.
at the end
Well, we're diving in on the prime directive bit.
is
that
that
bit.
That's everything, right? I covered all the
Yeah.
bases.
You hit the points.
Good.
like I feel like
You
this
never
was
know.
probably one of our better episodes
Wait, what?
of Enterprise
Like so far or forever?
Like,
so far.
Like
In what sense?
Structured as an episode.
The structure, the fact that there's actually kind of like an idea at the center, like
There's
what
a
we've
discussion.
seen before, kind of,
Is
but
this-
Like it's a little bit fascinating because this episode is the most polarizing episode. More polarizing, I'd even say, than Tuvix.
I was just going
This
to
is
ask.
no.
People either love it
No, they.
or they utterly detest
It is the worst episode of Star Trek, including everything.
Profit and Lace is
even
pretty
including
bad.
the very short trek about the vomit and boogers or whatever it was.
Okay,
Well,
Chris
hold
was
on.
making a point about the thing, and
So
I
that-
just
as
wanted
far
to
as
say that people do love this one.
it's probably one of our better episodes of Enterprise so far. And then they have to just have that stupid, get it, it's a prequel speech. Even if he just hadn't said the fucking word directive, it would have been heavy-handed but less stupid. Like,
That's not where it lost me. That was the thing.
I
I could not forgive this episode. A couple scenes before that, so.
Well, there's lots about this episode that I can't forget.
yeah, I just find that to be so, like,
Oh yeah, that was fucking cringe.
dumb in a way that was just a different special kind of, I want to find who agreed that was a good scene, and
It's probably
beat them.
probably the UPN producers.
Here's the
with
thing.
just like, I don't know, how to fucking write good dialogue
Listen.
by not whoever wrote this episode. Ugh.
It was a
If
monologue,
you think
Chris.
this is the last time you're going to have this feeling,
Oh,
you
I
are-
know,
you
I
are
know.
in for a.
No, I remember, I
Unpleasant
watched this
surprise.
fucking show,
But
I
is-
know.
But is this the worst one? Is
No.
this the worst one we're gonna have?
The worst one is the read alert.
Read Alert's fine.
No,
Read Alert's a
it's stupid.
joke.
Also,
Uh-oh.
it wasn't called the Prime Directive at first, it was called General Order 1. So if they really wanted to prequel it up, he would have said something about a General Order.
Yeah, what he would have said is,
God, how do you do that?
what?
That
The
noise.
the
I
nerdy voice.
always end up regretting it when I've done it.
Oh, the
nerd
nerd
voice?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, the writers clearly wanted to beat the audience over the head with, oh, look, they're talking about the Prime Directive. And
Yeah, but it doesn't exist yet, which is why they're having this conversation.
And the thing about this show is, and what we'll learn time and time again, is that the writers of this show have absolutely no respect for the audience.
None whatsoever.
They think that the people watching this, they think that they're making this show
Oh,
for
it's
the
like
Mank.
how when the other day in Civilization, when it's like, look, a thing you should shoot, and then it will blow up, Archer. What could you shoot it with that will make it blow up? Is it your gun? I propose you shoot it with your gun.
Why are they writing this show like a tutorial for a video game?
No, I was about to say, it sounded like an episode of fucking Dora the Explorer. Quick! What can we use on the oil lamp to kill the bad... Oh, sorry, not kill, because as Jake pointed out, no one dies on this show. To wound the bad guys. Did you say the phaser?
It's Steve from Blue's Clues. He's like, what? You see a clue? You think we could shoot that barrel?
And then they need to find out from T'Pol where to go next, so they have to have her pull out her map.
And if you don't go to the center of town and talk to T'Pol, you're never going to be able to move on. You're going to go to the cave. You won't be able to get in. You have to get your marching orders from T'Pol first.
Yeah, honestly, this would have been a better show if it was just Dora the Explorer in space.
We do more exploring, I believe.
Basically
sure.
is.
That's unfair to Dora the Explorer.
I've never really seen it, so I don't have much input.
I know
there.
there's a fox that is a thief.
Oh, well, I like foxes, so I'm on board.
More
Swiper?
Yes.
Swiper.
Swiping?
Yes. It has more compelling villains than the... Not Silurians. What the fuck are they called?
Suliban?
Suliban. There we go.
Okay. So,
Yeah, sorry.
So yeah, the problem...
Tell us the problem.
The problem
You're going to boil it down to just one?
Yeah.
The main
So
one.
this episode could have been... in my opinion, this had very high potential for being an episode. In trying to... Here's my thing. My thinking is...
Jake, gather your thoughts.
The fucking writers were like, you know what episode people like either love or hate and have mixed feelings about?
Is it Tuvix?
Tuvix.
Mm-hmm.
We need to do a Tuvix-like episode that presents a real moral drama.
I don't think that wasn't the point. Though.
I think it was.
I'm going to tell you what the original thing was.
Well, let Jake go
me finish
first.
my fucking thought.
Okay.
Ooh.
Before I genocide everyone like Phlox wants to do.
He loves it.
No, he didn't genocide anybody.
No,
he just
did.
let nature take its course.
What he did, if you look in the fucking UN definition of genocide, he's a genocide by inaction.
Yes. Agreed.
So the problem here is that they thought they were writing an episode that had like a real deep like moral
debate.
Yeah. But the problem that they chose to have this debate about is so black and white. There is no
do I commit genocide or do I not commit genocide?
It's basic. So remember when Picard chose not to genocide the Borg because doing that would
in the Hugh episode?
Yeah, and got in trouble, got yelled at by Bacheyev. The problem here, and I don't want to be like a mansplain situation, but I feel the need to mansplain.
Well, tell it to me, and then I'll womansplain.
Okay, please do.
You might both need to do that for me to understand it, so go ahead.
But also, whoever wrote this was maybe a guy, so it's okay to mansplain to
it was the people who ended up going on and writing the Mad Men thing, those people.
Wow.
I think it was a husband-wife team,
They really fucked it up. But the problem I have here
You're like,
is
maybe
that,
Star Trek isn't our forte.
Remember how we were saying, like, their science advisor must have been taking a nap a few weeks ago?
Yeah.
Whoever, they're like, how does evolution work?
No fucking idea.
This has like a very, you know what it is? It's the creationists. The way creationists think evolution works.
Right, because there's an end point, right?
Right. The creationists have this idea that like, oh, evolution is evolution's bullshit because these Darwinists think that like there's an end point to things and that's bullshit. Which is bullshit because that's not how evolution works. It wasn't like, you can't look at the Mank and be like, oh yes, they are on the cusp of an evolutionary awakening, which is I think what he said.
Yeah.
That's just not a fucking thing.
And they're already in a symbiotic relationship with the Valakians.
And you also can't look at the Valakians and say, oh yeah,
they're meant to die out.
That's fucking stupid. We go so far to make sure that things don't go extinct on our planet, we don't do a good job of it.
Nope.
We just make more things go extinct. But
We're mostly concerned about making sure we don't go extinct.
we're not even good at doing that.
No, we're not.
But like Archer is 100% right when he says like you're a fucking doctor, and he's like yes, but I whatever Flock said, and Archer's like, well, that's what you fucking do is heal patients.
As I've often said, one of my favorite things about Starfleet doctors is that normally they tell the Prime Directive to go fuck itself if they want.
And like this would, and I guarantee if this were any other show, if this were Voyager, if this were TNG.
Oh, if it was Deep Space Nine, Julian would have a fucking huge erection to cure these people.
Absolutely.
And like...
And probably get some tail.
Yeah.
While doing it.
They would have done that.
Mank and Valakian tail. All of them.
And the fact that they said that he has the cure, like he knows how to cure them and he's just withholding it, that is, in my opinion...
A war crime.
It's a war crime. It's not a war crime because they're not at war.
Well,
but
it's just a regular crime.
It's a crime against humanity, is what we call it.
Valakianity.
But yes, it's a crime against nature.
It's not a cool crime against nature like one of Cisco's.
Yeah. It's a
well, those were war crimes.
It's like it's abhorrent. I don't use that word lightly, but it is abhorrent, I would say. And it really disappoints me to my core that was what the writers chose to do in this episode.
I can almost understand, as this is a Phlox episode, I can understand Phlox having this particular opinion, this kind of perspective as a denobulan, because the whole episode is him having a different perspective on things. Like, the microcosm of this episode is him watching that movie with Cutler and saying, interesting, you humans seem to get very emotionally involved watching movies. That's curious to me. And Cutler's like, what, have you never watched movies before? Weird. And this whole episode turns into him not getting why people, like, empathize with other things.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah, denobulans are weird, man.
Like Archer brings puppy boy, Porthos, in to get, his cheese suctioned out of his stomach. Because he's been eating too much cheese. And Porthos, goddammit. And Phlox is like, oh, weird. I never know. It's funny that humans...
Archer talks to that dog. What
yeah, they have so much emotional investment in their animals.
But keep in mind that at the beginning of the episode, we see him talking to his little lab rats as he feeds them, like, don't worry, I didn't forget you.
He would
well, then what the fuck?
Any of them...
Well, yeah,
he has them to, like, turn them into medicines and stuff.
Well, yeah, but he's still speaking to them.
Yes, true.
Well, he does admit he finds himself occasionally talking to them, but he doesn't anthropomorphize them as much.
Right. So Phlox having a different perspective, good. That's a great debate to have. That's a good debate he started having with Archer. And Phlox was hugely wrong about how evolution works, and I'm just so enraged about that, as Jake already said. But then, for Archer to agree...
Yeah,
that, yes, this is the best thing to do. Let these people die. Give them some fucking throat lozenges for the next 10 years. 10 years worth of fucking Ricolas. Good luck, guys.
Ricola!
Like, I'm hoping, if this gave them 10 years more to live, maybe someone else came and fucking did literally anything.
Well, the Ferengi came back and sold them warp technology.
Yeah. I hope so.
And then they blew themselves up because they didn't understand antimatter.
No, what's going to happen is the Valakians are going to die out, and then...
The Mank are also going to die out.
The Ferengi will show up and be like, hey, we got some Mank now, and they'll exploit the Mank.
Well, that's fine. The Mank love to be exploited, apparently.
Just like
don't
false
take
prophets.
slaves.
No, but like false prophets.
But they will certainly exploit people.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't take slaves, but do write in, you have to have sex with me clauses into their fucking employment contract.
Yeah,
they do.
It's everything but slavery is the Ferengi rule of acquisition number whatever.
General order Ferengi rule.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I don't know. I just find this episode. I find it disgusting. I find. I agree that Phlox having this conundrum is an interesting potential story, but I think it gets ruined when
Archer gets on board.
When Archer agrees, because really it should have been a learning moment in the other direction where Archer stands up to be like, no, you might be right about this, but we don't do that.
Yeah,
you
I want
know?
to share with you guys what the original ending was,
Mhm.
because it's neither of those. Like, honestly, yes, the Archer saying, no, you're wrong, we're going to save people. That's the point of us exploring fucking space. And you can't predict what will happen with the Menk and the Valakians. For all you know, like, they're their own society. They're different. They can do stuff. But the original plan that UPN swooped in out of fucking nowhere and made them change because the UPN producers decided, no, like, whatever is Archer's decision is what everyone has to go with. So we can't have people on opposite sides. The original plan was Archer would have wanted to save the Valakians. Phlox would still have made the cure and not given it to them, and disobeyed the orders Archer gave to try to save the people.
Whoa.
And then just never told Archer that he had a cure.
Well, that would have saved my opinion of Archer, but
Yes.
it would have made my opinion of Phlox even worse.
Yeah, it would just be in like a letter to Dr. Lucas, his pen pal friend, saying, "Oh yeah, and I figured out the cure, and I, whatever, because this is what I decided, because I'm the one who thinks I'm right."
See, here's what I would think. Like, they could have done this a little bit differently, and I think made a more interesting episode. If the story had been that Phlox finds the cure, but he finds that, like, it's a problem of, so we all know, like inbreeding is very bad, right?
Mhm.
And lack of genetic diversity in a population leads to genetic diseases, like what the Valakians have, and this is like real science shit.
Yeah.
The Menk are immune to it, so you could potentially have a story where it's like, yeah,
Time to start fucking the Menk.
Well, just this fucking apartheid that you've created,
Yeah.
with the Menk, is really what's killing them. And you go to the fucking government and you say, listen, you gotta like stop treating the Menk like shit. Maybe they shouldn't have made them quite as dopey as they did, but
They just
But they
seemed
weren't
like nice
dopey.
guys.
They weren't dopey.
They
They
just-
seemed fine.
Yeah, they just weren't as technologically advanced,
Well,
possibly
but
because
of
they
course
were
they-
forced to not be.
Right, because they've been stunted, because they don't have anything, because everything they have is given to them by the Valakians,
that
or whatever the fuck
was
they're called.
something I found very cowardly about this episode too, was like that whole thing that they don't harp on, but they mention, just so that like you can kind of feel like they're kind of jerks though, so maybe they should die.
They're not even jerks. This is just how their society
Yeah.
runs.
Well, but they do purposely
No.
make them live in areas where they can't grow their own food.
Right, they put them in-
That's like how we treated the indigenous peoples here. That's terrible. Like, it would be one thing if they coexisted and it's like, yeah, some of them work for us, but they also have their own lives. But they're definitely making sure these people have trouble existing without them.
they're very dependent.
I'd say apartheid is a decent...
Yeah, and like it could be like that's an interesting thing. It's like, yeah, the reason why your society is so fucked is because you've insulated yourselves from these people. That if you had been breeding with them for thousands of years, and you would have created a more genetically diverse race of people.
Yeah.
That would have been resistant to this kind of shit. But you didn't.
Maybe they're not compatible.
And then maybe they're not. But
Well, on the other hand, maybe they are.
maybe they are. It'd be pretty unusual. I think,
That's
if
the
they weren't
thing.
compatible.
I got hung up on. It's apparently some sort of, like, their genetics are just unspooling. How do you cure that without genetic engineering, which, as we all know, humanity really frowns upon?
No,
There's no federation yet, but...
maybe Fox wasn't on that. Maybe he's not doing that shit.
Well, yeah, but I was half expecting that to kind of come up, because I couldn't quite remember how this was resolved. Like, he was going to say, well, it's a genetic thing, so I would have to use genetic engineering, and Archer would go, ah! And stick his head in the ground and wet himself.
I also wonder where they draw the line on.
It is definitely vague.
Because like I am sure like gene therapies are used. They must be, but like probably like going in and gene splicing somebody to have a 12-inch dong is where they draw the line.
Only on the holiday.
I don't know. I'm on board with that.
Yeah, and I feel like
Yeah, but I don't want my dong to get smaller. So
Fair enough.
But yeah, I just, how do you... Like, you can't give someone a medication, as far as I know, to keep their genome from just disintegrating. That would have to be
that shows what
genetic
you know about
engineering, right?
medicine.
Well,
I
maybe
don't know,
it's
Phlox
maybe
figured
it's
it out.
maybe it's introducing some kind of antibody that the Menk have or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't fucking know.
Yeah, the
And I
nature of the
think to
disease doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, to save lives, I think there would be kind of that gray area where, okay, for this purpose, we can do this. And also, I don't think, this comes up in DS9, which is 300 years past this or some shit.
I do think they do, to the point you already made, I think that they are kind of letting the Valakians off the hook because they don't really address the apartheid in the room.
Not
Oh
really.
my god, not at all. They just have one person who's like, I think that's bad. And Phlox is like, why?
Oh, they seem perfectly happy. Like, shut the fuck up.
And that's the end of the story. It isn't even like, and then she doesn't like me anymore because
That's
I'm
like-
a disgusting person.
There's-
Who thinks
That's
that
like
this
those
is
fucking people that
acceptable.
are like, well, the slaves had a warm place to sleep and
And they learned skills.
They learned valuable skills.
They're going to address something vaguely akin to this in the future in a very enraging episode.
Oh, fabulous.
Wow, I hate Enterprise.
Yeah, I'm not a fan so far.
Well, no, it's. I feel like that one, if I'm remembering it properly, is better done. It just ends poor. It's a better.
Is it co-janitor?
Yes.
Oh,
Great.
fuck Cogenitor.
Fabulous,
I
great.
Was that's there, right? That's an angry episode.
Another angry. That's
good.
coming up later.
It's a good
I hope
episode.
I get
it's
to
a
intro
very, it's a
that one.
solid like.
It makes you
hour of
angry
TV.
because it's written well, not because they fucked up.
Yeah, exactly.
It wants you to be angry. And is possibly one of the few justifications, maybe, that I've seen where I was like, yeah, maybe the Prime Directive is a good idea.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, in this case, the Prime Directive is not even if the Prime Directive had existed. I still think any other Starfleet captain would have made the other choice in this episode.
I honestly don't know, because they do love hiding behind that thing sometimes
Yeah, and
to
there's
avoid
also-
making
Oh
hard
yeah,
decisions.
Picard probably would have.
And with Janeway, it depends on what her mood was that week.
Right.
What about pen pals? Pen pals.
Well, the girl asked for help.
Yeah, and the people on this planet. asked for
Exactly.
help.
Yeah. That's the way they've written around it before. And in 30 days, Paris begged the Monians to be like, just ask us for help, and we'll have to help you.
Yeah, so they did ask for help, and they said, "Fuck off."
But wasn't Pen Pal also where we invented the Pulaski maneuver?
I'm sure it already
Where
existed.
we
Wiped the
erased
worker
memory.
I mean it probably happened before, but that was Pulaski, and then it came up again in reference to Pulaski.
Yeah, because it wouldn't work on
Pulaski.
this other species.
We barely knew the.
Yeah, it wouldn't work. Who wouldn't it work on? It wouldn't. Oh, the Mentakans. It didn't work on Mentakans.
Oh right. So that's why you got to bring them up to your bridge and show them their planet.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I like using this episode as an example because Jake and I were just rewatching a Voyager episode recently, and I think my comment watching something was saying that's the difference between Phlox and Neelix, because I know this episode was a big defining moment in telling you what the difference between Phlox and Neelix is that Neelix wants to help people.
Oh god, Neelix cares so deeply for everybody.
Everybody. I think we were just watching. It's a bad episode. It's the one where we learned that the spy who'd been cohorting with Seska, Jonas, I think.
Yeah.
We learn the Jonas thing, and Neelix gets all sad that he thinks Tom is going to leave the ship.
Oh, yeah, that one.
That one. And Neelix has some really great moments about, because, he doesn't care about any of the other stuff that's happening. He cares about the people.
Mm-hmm.
Phlox cares about Phlox. I was thinking the other week we were watching the one where they're watching, a supernova doing something.
Yeah.
They were doing that, and Phlox got to
Cold Front?
Yes, Cold Front. In Cold Front, and Phlox got to, lead their
Oh,
chant
right,
nonsense.
and he would join us, but then he just took over.
Yeah. And I'm watching this Phlox is doing this because he wants to add it to his resume. Neelix would do this because he wants to learn more about people. And I hate Phlox, and I love Neelix.
Yeah, Phlox is a jerk.
Phlox is the epitome of that sort of mindset that I've often said, all right, you can't interfere with cultures, but you don't have to fucking be nice to them if they're dicks. He's the kind of guy who just waves everything off as, well, it's their culture. It's right, you don't have to talk to them, though, if they're assholes.
Well, again, it's their culture. It was our culture to enslave African Americans to do our work for a long fucking time. That doesn't mean it was a good thing to do.
Yeah.
And Phlox would be right there being like, oh, that's interesting.
Well, they seem to be learning some skills.
I feel like this incident
What they feed them, what's the problem?
is something that
Phlox.
Julian Bashir would have studied in medical ethics class as an example of how you really fuck shit up. And like when it's okay as a physician to to break the rules, like the Prime Directive.
Yeah. Well, that's when whatever doctor is teaching the class, make sure it's only medical students in the room, kind of glances around and goes, fuck the Prime Directive.
Yeah, I also love how Phlox is like, well, it could take millennia for the Meng to catch up. It's like, yeah, or it could take never. Right? Like, you don't fucking know, asshole.
Why does he think he's the one that gets to write everyone's future?
Yeah, exactly. Like, the whole argument is, oh, we're not playing, oh, I don't want to play God.
You're literally
That's
playing
what
God!
you are doing. You are choosing the Menk and you're choosing to let these other people die.
No, this is how nature would have done.
That's not how
in that case, you shouldn't be a doctor if you think everything that happens naturally is what's meant to be.
Yeah.
You son of a fucking bitch.
Now, okay,
God, I hate
Yeah,
Phlox.
really.
Let's
Does he not
hold on. Let's not let the Vulcans off the hook, because this is totally what they would do too.
Oh yeah, they would definitely do this.
That's the other thing. The other thing in this
well,
episode...
they wouldn't even have gone to the planet.
Well, true.
Fair.
They'd have, please help us. Nah.
Yeah. So, our main Valachian friend, I think it's Isak. I think she's right.
The pilot or the doctor?
Oh God, one of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of them asks Archer, I know you guys are trying, and I don't think you guys are going to be able to help us, but if we had warp technology, we could ask more people for help. And then it becomes a question of, do we give them warp technology? And it's like, we don't need this additional question in this episode.
Yeah, we're already dealing with plenty.
It has already the deep discussion conflict center at the core. We don't need more fucking things. You're muddying it up.
Yeah.
Because then you just feel like you get to be all smug at the end, like, nope, we can't give you this because, it's for your own good. Everything we're doing is for your own good. And Archer gets to feel all high and mighty at the end. And I hated Phlox's last goddamn log where he's like, it's a good thing that Archer made the right decision and I want to shoot Phlox in the face.
I will say, though, it was kind of nice seeing Archer have to be like, oh... maybe the Vulcans occasionally have a point.
Well, I also thought his justification for not giving, I agree. Yeah, you probably shouldn't be giving them warp drive.
Yeah, not if they can't understand it yet.
But but making that the reason, they'll probably just blow themselves up, like
in that episode of Voyager, actually, where they sent the probe, Friendship 1 or whatever.
Oh yes,
and those people found it. Didn't really fully comprehend antimatter and blew themselves up.
No.
Yeah.
God, I don't remember that.
It was towards the end, so it wasn't that long ago.
Wow.
I did love to Paul's 100 years ago we decided to stay and help Earth and we're still fucking there.
Yeah, but that's not a reason why to not do something if it's going to be helpful to living people.
Oh yeah, well that's the point of giving them the medicine, but
yeah, the warp drive and the medicine are kind of.
I mean, honestly, I just think that this whole thing was probably above their pay grade, and they probably should have phoned home.
Yeah,
and
no,
asked
definitely.
For help.
Is there a directive you guys have or anything?
Yeah,
let us know.
What should we do?
Well, yeah, there's yes, the Vulcans, and it's the Vulcan General Order 1. Fuck them. But that's the whole directive. Yeah. Oh boy.
Yeah. Again, the non-interference directive. It really needs to have more nuance.
So much more.
Well, it depends on who's reading it any given day. Most of the time,
I think that's
every
the problem.
Captain would do a different thing in this situation.
Exactly. I think that's
Janeway would blow up the ship for some reason.
There's a real problem if your number one most important rule is that open to interpretation.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Like we've had this with the Second Amendment in this country, right? It's like it's so fucking vague. Questions about comma placement, like they should have known when they were drawing up these directives. They should have been like, let's look at Earth history for examples of what not to do when writing rules. Be fucking explicit.
Well, but the opposite is true for something like the ADA, where it is intentionally left vague because, what is reasonable may depend on who is making that decision.
Well, right, but that's,
in some cases, it's actually good to have some vagueness.
And that's the thing.
That's
I think that gives to Jake's point, though. This is the rule. If this is the rule, this one needs to be less vague. Like, leave it vague when it doesn't matter as much. But this ostensibly is like, the big one.
Well, I know this doesn't have to do with Star Trek, but I also kind of don't agree that the Second Amendment is that vague. The Second Amendment is actually very specific. It's just everyone ignores the specific parts.
Yeah, well,
about,
true.
Trained militias and shit.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah, but that's that comma placement, right? Like, they're not...
I'm a trained militia.
Yeah, who constitutes a militia?
I'm a train.
I have a militia in my pants.
Whoa.
The
Bringing out the big guns.
You can say that again.
All right.
Oh.
Tim Allen, yes.
There was one other thing I wanted to say that I just thought of was, so they don't have the Prime Directive yet, and Archer admits this. When in doubt, I like to fall back on the Golden Rule. Do unto others as you would have done unto you. And if you ask me, I would have liked it if aliens could have helped us in our time of need, like the Vulcans after World War III.
They only stopped by because they saw a mad drunkard invented warp drive.
That's true. Or, if aliens were, like, teaching us how to be naked in the woods and we have tattoos.
Maybe aliens should stay away from other planets. Jesus.
God fucking damn it, Chakotay. It always comes back to Chakotay. You know what? This episode is so bad. Why did Chakotay do this to us?
I'm glad that he's lost in the wherever he's lost in future shows.
Beta quadrant? I don't know.
I was just doing a lot of defending Chakotay on shitposting yesterday.
Oh, don't do that. Beltran's a dick.
Well,
yeah, but
Beltran's
Chakotay's fine.
Chakotay's good.
I know.
Chakotay's okay.
I miss Chakotay.
Chakotay's got a couple of okay episodes.
He does. Once they dropped the faux Native American shit, he got way better.
Yeah, and even then, even if it's, for only the purpose of having representation, it's still a positive that he's there.
I think, was it Walking Bear? Was that the
Yeah, from
guy
the
TAS?
TAS, yeah.
He was probably better.
Well, he was actually native.
Yeah.
Well, he was voiced by Doohan.
Oh,
But
man.
Walking Bear?
He was?
He was voiced by Doohan.
Everybody was voiced
Yeah, but
by
the
Doohan.
writer, I
The
think,
writer
the writer
was-
of the
the writer
episode
was,
was
I think,
Native
Jared.
Okay, I thought both the writer and the actor were
No.
native. That's depressing. At least the writer was native, I guess. Jesus Christ. Also, it was the 70s.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So what did everybody think of Cutler?
I don't know, man.
She's
I don't know why she wants to fuck Floss.
Yeah, neither do I. She could do
bad,
better.
Poor judgment on that girl.
Though
What happened
I
to Novakovich?
I do like that she was like,
He's all
well,
full of pebbles now.
I like that she's like, well, listen, I don't want to wife up. I just want to bang.
That's
I was like,
true.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
I
You know
was
what you
like,
want.
oh, let's see where it goes. I was like, fuck yeah, slut, get it. I love her. I was like, good for you. But don't do it with Phlox.
Yeah.
Do it with someone cute. And,
She
not
heard-
a douchebag.
She heard about his tongue.
Okay.
Where does he
What
keep
about
his
his tongue?
Oh, have we not seen that yet?
Oh, no. Does he have a big tongue?
It's very long.
Oh,
Oh.
God. I don't like this. Everything
Well,
about this is
I like
uncomfortable.
Phlox a little more now.
I just...
No, I'm just kidding. I don't. A little bit. But yeah, I don't know. I like her, but I think she has terrible taste in men.
Mm. Point.
And
Also, why did she bring, like... This is really on the props department. Instead of having, like, a bucket of popcorn...
She had like a giant glass bowl.
Yeah, she had, like, a Pyrex tray of popcorn. It was
Oh, that's weird.
very
Very
strange.
listen, you make do with what you can find on the ship. They probably didn't have a lot of popcorn
Like a
buckets.
green plastic bowl, a transparent green plastic
Yeah.
bowl that doubles as a symbol.
There you go.
It was such a weird thing. Like, it really stood out to me. I was like, what the why did she bring up Pyrex? It's like, obviously, they wanted you to be able to see it was popcorn, but just do what you've done in other things. Just have a bowl with some popcorn sticking out the
Or
top.
just
Or,
like-
show her eating a piece of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Have why is she the only one with popcorn? Also, like, nobody else have popcorn. Why do they just have everybody
That's
have like a
true.
little thing of popcorn?
Listen, she has low blood sugar. Leave her alone. Why is everybody always picking on Cutler? I'm just kidding.
Mix some M&Ms in with that popcorn.
It's good.
I love
Wow.
mixing M&Ms and popcorn. That shit is the
I love
bomb.com.
mixing M&Ms in anything.
It's really
True.
encouraging.
M&Ms with other M&Ms.
Mm-hmm.
It's really encouraging to know that apparently men still aren't allowed to cry in the 22nd century.
I was thinking that too. I was like, no.
Yeah. Why is Trip gonna be so
Ashamed of his
ashamed?
emotions?
It's like, come on, it's a touching movie.
whatever
What
the
movie
hell
was it? Does anybody know?
Nah, I'm sure Memory
Old-
Alpha says.
Some
It
old-timey
does.
thing that was in the Paramount catalog.
I didn't write it
And
down.
for which they did not have to receive rights.
They should
I
have
would like
been
to see it.
should have been watching Hellmouth there, or the fuck. That's not what it's called.
Hellmouth?
What?
Fucking Sam Neill terror movie that they
Oh,
used
Event
to...
Horizon.
There we go.
Yes,
yeah.
they should definitely
Hellmouth.
write Event
You know,
Horizon.
well, Hellmouth.
Any other things on your card, or should we shift on to?
No, and here's the question is because as I said, this is a very polarizing episode. It
So you're
seems
saying
like
there are people who like this episode?
people who love this episode. Like right now, because I don't have a companion book for Enterprise. If it exists, I don't know what it is. So I've just kind of been reading.
Just nobody's bothered.
Yeah,
they
so
were
there
like, eh.
There are two professional-ish reviewers that I've just kind of been following along and reading their reviews as we go. One of them gave it a 1 out of 10. And just basically wrote, here, I'll find it because it's pretty great.
Ames, maybe you should write the Enterprise companion book.
No, not the companion book.
It would just be pages and pages of what the fuck over and over.
I don't know. I would pay for that.
You could transpose all those call sheets.
Okay, this comes from Tor.com. This is Keith DeCandido, who is also a novelist. And he writes, I despise this episode with the fiery passion of 1,000 white-hot suns. 20 years ago, after watching this episode, I decided to stop watching Enterprise. I was so utterly disgusted by it. ... Going on. In much the same way as TNG's Homeward disgusted me because it turned our theoretical heroes into murderers, so too with this episode. Just a morally repugnant, despicable, horrible, awful, revolting episode that's a blight on the franchise.
So he didn't like it very much.
So this guy didn't like it. The other guy who I'm following is Jammer's reviews by Jamal Epsikokan, I want to say. And he gave it a 4 out of 4. And basically, his whole
4 out of 4?
4 out of 4 stars.
First of all, what the fuck is up with that rating system?
It's the 4 stars rating system.
Yeah, a lot of things do that.
I feel like 4 stars used to be common, and now it's 5 stars.
No, it's 5 stars.
Yeah, we've
Anyway,
added a star somewhere.
Yeah. From what I can tell between the two, I think this is Jammer's first watch through Enterprise, while it's Keith DeCandido's second watch through of Enterprise. And I don't know, Jamal freaking loved this thing. And basically his whole review is just a love poem to this episode. Which structurally and as storytelling and writing wise, it's written well. I like the almost day-to-day quality of framing it as a letter to this doctor. It's the utterly pathetic science behind what they think this evolution is, and the decision to turn Archer into a genocidal monster that just sink this to the bottom of the pile.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think that this really did have the potential to be possibly one of the better episodes of the show overall.
Yeah.
And certainly among the episodes we've seen so far.
Yeah, because like with Tuvix, there is a great debate to be had. If you want to boil it down to what should you do to a culture that is not yours, and do you interfere? That's an interesting debate.
Yeah, and I think that they just missed a lot of opportunities here to do more with the Mank. I feel like in the end the Mank became
props,
just props for for Fox to make this the excuse. But I would have liked to have known more. They introduced that Mank character who.
Starts picking up English.
Yeah, picks up English and starts, and does the organization of the vials and everything, and thought that was interesting.
Well, how can you say that they're not evolved if they're doing?
They make it such a big point. They say, "Oh yeah, this almost never happens that you see two different species raised to this level of evolution." Chris is laughing at something.
Season 3 would like a word.
What?
What?
There's a planet with many species.
Okay. Well, it's fascinating.
It is fascinating.
And they tease this episode that it's going to be that it's this very interesting thing that they never see, but they don't talk about it at all.
No. Yeah, I got to admit, having us talk about it, it's this was actually quite bad. I was just so happy to see an episode that was kind of competent.
Yeah,
because the flow was good.
Yeah.
The flow of it was good. The number, the
writing is quite good.
The writing was good
until you get to this is what I think evolution is, and then
call kind of
strangling.
And even the B and C plots were they were. I mean, arguably, when you're trying to decide about whether or not to genocide a group of people, maybe that's not the best time to be like, let me try to figure out more about humans' mating practices.
Yeah.
But even so...
So, Paul, let me do dentistry on you right now and do the old dentist joke of ask you a question while my hand's in your mouth.
Well, yeah, but remember that he only did that because he was trying to, like, get information from her about...
Well,
like,
no, she really did have something wrong with her teeth.
but I guess... Did she though?
But also,
Ooh.
She had a cavity.
20 seconds.
But he writes in his letter like, I'm going to talk to the only person I think will have this, and then suddenly she has a tooth decay problem.
The thing is, they talk all the time. He didn't need the excuse.
I thought he was going to go to
know,
Trip,
man.
because Trip is an honest person.
Yeah,
as
but
we've seen in multiple times.
Vulcans cannot tell a lie.
But he talks to Paul a lot. But also, like, really, again, by the 22nd century, we still have toxic masculinity and shitty old dental tools.
Ooh.
Like, they were just our dental tools.
Yeah, but he did like...
They were clearly Sonic or something,
Yeah, he did that filling or whatever the hell he did pretty lickety-split.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I do like how this episode did go out of their way to tell us how much most of the crew just doesn't want to be around Phlox. To the extent that they included a scene where Phlox is eating by himself, begs Reed to sit with him, and then Reed has to make some excuse about how he has to go wash his hair.
Yeah, I asked Jake after this episode. That's good. Good job. Was Reed even in this? And you have to remember, oh yeah, he was there. He turned down Phlox's invitation to eat food. Because otherwise Reed isn't even in this episode.
Trip either. The only time we see Trip is when he's crying in the movie.
No, we do
like
see...
a bitch.
With the guy with the burns.
Yeah, one of his engineering friends got but
that's it. Like, that's not much, you know?
That's it.
That's pretty little for Trip. And actually, he wasn't in the next episode very much either.
Yeah, it's Trip's week off.
Yeah, shocking.
Speaking of the next episode?
Yeah. I think we've talked for, oh dear God, so
far too long about this.
Rossi is going to be very disappointed.
Even after Chris cuts that horrible story from Jake.
Well, I thought it was a good
That's
story.
going straight to our Patreon sponsors.
I ain't starting a Patreon. It's too much effort. You do it.
We have to make stupid extra content for those bozos to listen to.
I already make too much extra content.
Yeah, so we should be putting it behind a
why
paywall.
are we paywalling?
Why are we giving it for free? Anyway, Sleeping Dogs.
Wow.
Which I think is racist against Klingons.
I'm disappointed this wasn't a Porthos episode.
I know,
Sleeping
same.
Targs.
We really thought it should have been, Sleeping Targs would be a cute name. Well, anyway, we've encountered a vessel and there's faint life signs, and we're going to go check it out.
What? No, you're reading the previous synopsis again.
No, it's the same. It's the same episode. It's actually the same.
Do we save them or not?
Well, in this case, let's find out. We find a bird of prey.
No,
it's not a bird of prey.
It was a new kind of scout ship.
I think we
I thought,
covered
did it look like a bird of prey, kind of?
Not really.
It looks more
Was
like
there a bird of prey later in the
They
episode?
mention bird of preys are on the way, but we don't see them.
Oh, all right.
Yeah,
Well,
it's one of the various Klingon ships we covered when we discussed ship chat.
Yeah.
And it's one that I think this is the only time we ever see this.
Well, check out our blogtivity about Klingon ships if you want to see what we're talking about.
It's cute.
It's
kind of
the Samra. What does that say? Samra? Samra.
It's kind of the baby version of the TNG Klingon cruiser.
Sure.
At any rate, there's a bunch of Klingons on there, and they're sick.
Yeah.
Accurate.
They're sick.
You're not wrong.
It turns out that they, God, I first thought this was going to be a goddamn Space Madness episode, and I was so mad. They're like, it seems like they've ingested some neurotoxin. And I was like, oh no.
Pants off!
Oh man, who's showering with their clothes on?
Actually, she was hanging out in a freezer.
Yeah.
Hey, right.
Well, and at the end, we do get an extra long
Sonic
decon
shower.
scene. Sadly, no trip bulge this time, but what can you
Sadly.
do? I did say sadly.
Reed is freaking ripped.
Yeah, no,
Damn.
he's yummy. Too bad he's insufferable. But anyway, it turns out that our friends, the Klingons, have drank of some Sarantine ale, which has made them all sick because it has neurotoxin. Thankfully, we can heal them, and we do. I don't really remember what the fuck else is going on here.
It's a submarine movie.
They go
It's a
onto
submarine story in space.
onto the Klingon ship, and it's like caught in the. It's caught in the
It's in a gas giant.
It's a gas giant, and it's gonna like implode, but they're trying to fix the ship. I don't really know. I don't remember. I knew before we came here, and I forgot.
Jake is offering to help.
There's a
Jake,
bunch.
help.
Help, Jake.
So there's these rich people that want to
No,
go tour the
God damn it.
Titanic.
Jesus Christ.
But yeah, they go down. It's a slow one. They go down to try to save this ship, and they do.
Yeah. But
Archer pretends he understands
I mean,
Klingons.
Yeah, that was my main takeaway was Archer thinks that if you just say honor a lot that
Yeah.
you've now understood Klingon. I was like, oh great, he wants to figure out how to communicate with the lady Klingon. He's gonna go in there and punch her in the face, and then she's gonna want to bang him.
that would have been so much
That
more
would have been
interesting.
much
Yes,
better.
it would have been much more
It would have
interesting.
been
But
great.
instead, he's like, "Oh, well, you really want your friends to have a
that's what
dishonorable death?"
But that's what they absolutely should have done. They should have
what-
had.
so what
they
did
should have had
he
a scene
do?
where T'Pol was like, well, T'Pol was on the other ship, but
Anyone.
anyone could be like, she's a Klingon. Talk to her like a
Like,
Klingon.
here's the stupidest fucking thing. I want to kill Archer a lot. How
That
many...
does seem to be the theme.
How fucking long has it been since Broken Bow when we saw a Klingon and then another episode where we saw Klingons that this is the first fucking time Archer is reading up on Klingons? You goddamn idiot.
Oh,
Foolish
Trip.
man.
Oh, Trip, Kapla.
Oh,
Says
for
here.
fuck's sake.
It says here, Kapla.
Archer is the whitest man in the history of Star
Oh my
Trek.
God.
And I include TOS in that.
I'll have burrito jalapeno.
You got any tortillas?
He is definitely the kind of guy that says gracias to the waiter at the Mexican restaurant.
I heard someone once call Spanish Española. I feel like he does that too.
Fucking
But he speaks
Christ.
Española.
Fuck.
I mean, the problem was his linguist was off the ship and
True.
his Vulcan, so...
Yeah, he was... It was him and Trip making shit up as they went along.
Yeah, so it would have been so much more interesting if he had been... when he's like, I have to talk to her like a Klingon... if he had just went in there and smacked her...
Yes, that's what I expected.
And that's exactly what should have happened.
Yeah.
And then you could have actually had an actual, funny, character story where, she does, kind of get, you know.
It's like the time O'Brien was
Oh, that Cardassian.
into him
Yes!
and didn't realize.
That was a
Yes.
funny thing.
She's like, well, you're verbally sparring with me, so I assumed you were trying to initiate mating.
The problem is
That Archer's a... Let me check the notes. A patak.
a patek.
A
I feel like
patek.
Pataquois?
I normally hate when people say this kind of thing because it's gatekeepy and shitty. But it feels like whoever wrote this show had never seen an episode of Star Trek.
They never saw...
But the problem is it's a lot of people that worked on all the previous series, so it really doesn't make sense.
Archer is just so boring and milquetoast.
Yeah. So what does he actually do when he finally, reads the Klingon chapter of his encyclopedia? He decides to say, "Oh, well, it turns out that your friends aren't dying honorably after all,
Yeah.
because
Basically.
it was poison, not attack."
He very rationally explains to the mad Klingon woman that it's dishonorable he uses fucking bitch ass logic.
Yeah.
That's Vulcan. That's a Vulcan
That's a
thing.
Vulcan bitch thing.
But...
I was very confused at first when Admiral Forrest didn't show up, but then it turned out to be the
Because
Klingon.
Von Armstrong was
Yeah.
in the credits.
Yeah, it turns out there was supposed to be somebody else playing that role, but he had to back out, or he wasn't available, or
Von
something
Armstrong
happened.
plays a fine Klingon.
And then they
Yeah.
you know who'll do anything? Von Armstrong.
Except that at the end, it looked like he was going to absolutely cry when Archer was like, yeah, but we'll just blow your shit up. And he was like, I'm going.
Because Archer was right, and imagine getting blown up by Archer.
Archer's like, I'll make you look like a real patak when I blow up your ship.
Kapla.
Kapla.
So
That's good, Ames.
this
Nice.
isn't interesting, but it's more interesting than this episode.
Good.
The woman that played the Klingon
Was
I can't
hot?
remember either her character's name or her real
Her
name.
character's name is Buka.
Right. I made a childish joke. She, weirdly enough, years later would go on to be in an episode of Bakula's NCIS. I wonder if they reminisced.
I hope he punched her in the face, because he should have in this.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was so bummed because it was really exciting. He's like, well, I have to go talk to her like a Klingon. And I was like, fuck yeah, Bakula, get it. And then
nothing.
Ooh,
Then he was
Archer's
like,
gonna do something
no,
interesting.
it's a nice bunch of crewmates you got there. Be a shame if something dishonorable happened to them.
Oh, he used my kryptonite honor.
Oh my god.
Says here that if they die not in battle, they won't get to go to Stavaker.
Stouffer's lasagna.
See,
Stouffer's
that,
lasagna.
I also would have
Oh my
taken.
God.
I also would have taken that. He goes in and is just so like pathetic. She's like, "Stop the torture! I will help you. No one is this stupid." And he's like, "Yes,
That was
haha, you fell for it."
my plan all
And
along.
then he runs off and cries.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
But
I
I have
look like
to say,
a
I
real
actually-
patok in front of my new friend.
in contrast to the Archer B plot, which was stupid,
Yeah. not
I
good.
actually kind of liked the people on the ship.
Yeah,
Submarine
I
plot.
like a good submarine plot, and I know like the writer. Did I write him down? I did. Writer Fred Decker was inspired by the Kursk submarine disaster, which
Ew.
just sounds terrible.
Any submarine disaster
Yeah,
just
it's
Yeah.
hard
is
to have
automatically
a good
horrifying.
submarine disaster.
Well, because like, how does it end? It either like fills with water and everybody drowns in a fucking tube, or it fucking implodes.
Oh, this one blew up in a different way.
Well, that
Oh.
sounds great.
It turns out they were doing some drills and they loaded a torpedo that was leaking.
Ooh,
And
no.
And first that one blew up and killed everybody in that room, and then all the
Oh.
other ones blew
A
up
chain
and killed
reaction.
everybody else. And everybody
Fuck.
who like locked themselves in the final room, and they're running out of air, and they tried to to fix it so that they'd get more air, and then they accidentally blew up too.
Fuck, dude.
So really, and there's a ton of fallout about this because the Russians handled it poorly. This was a Soviet.
course they
sub.
did.
Yeah, the Russians handling something
Yeah.
poorly.
That's just like
If
that,
only we could have just kept shooting monkeys into space.
any Russian
This is
disaster,
bullshit.
regardless of which government they were under at the time, the Russians handled it poorly is how you end that report.
Yeah, like super poorly. But the thing is, like, I don't think you could have saved any of them if you tried.
Well, no.
But they didn't try.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding, I
it was
don't know.
way too late. There was ton of like, wow, Putin was seen like enjoying a day on like in his. Like,
Oh, so this
on a-
was recent.
Yeah, this
This
was.
was in the news probably when this.
Yeah, this was
episode-
definitely in the news when this episode went up because this was August 12th, 2000.
Oh, I didn't realize Putin had been around that long.
Yes.
Putin's-
Oh, he's ex-KGB. He's been around forever.
Well,
But he was, he's
Yeah, and he's like having a picnic whilst the rest of the country is like, how do we save these
that's
people?
that's a real
Chris Christie move.
Yeah.
thought, yep.
Yeah, but down,
But yeah, I thought
no, you go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I agree with Jake that the that what was happening on on the ship was interesting, and I liked that like Hoshi and T'Pol are kind of like buds now
I
a little
like that
bit.
too.
Like I just like when girls are friends.
Yeah.
I loved the scene where T'Pol is teaching Hoshi this meditation thing because Hoshi is
panic attack.
freaking out about Targs or something.
Oh yeah, those targs looked terrible, but it was nice to see them.
Good to see Targs. Yeah, and it was a nice thing that T'Pol did because you can imagine T'Pol the whole any day of her like fucking goddamn humans, they don't get it. And here she actually helps one of them, and it's a nice moment for her.
Even Reed got to do stuff that was not obnoxious in this
Yeah.
episode.
Wasn't it all significant that
No.
he had a cold?
I think it was.
I love that you knew where I was going.
Yeah,
Thank you,
no,
Chris.
it was. I don't think it was. Either.
I thought he was gonna maybe get the people on board sick or something. Like I was kind of waiting for it to be like it's all an allegory for why we should give people who work in like food services days off,
Right.
So that they can not sneeze in your burrito and give you COVID or whatever. Like that's kind of what I expected, was that he was gonna accidentally give like whatever cold thing he had to whoever was on that ship, 'cause
Or, like,
he wouldn't
maybe-
take a day off.
Whatever was killing the Klingons had become airborne, but somehow because he was already ill, it didn't affect him.
Yeah,
Or because he couldn't smell, maybe something would have come out of that.
Yeah.
But it really it just seemed to be just for the sake of that joke, in giant air quotes, where T'Pol and Hoshi were like, "Oh God, do you smell that?" And he's like, "No."
Oh, that was a great
God.
noise,
That was
Chris.
disgusting.
Good luck
Well
listening
done.
to that
Just
one
put the
later.
pimple story in over that noise.
Yeah, put that sound on repeat, so it's just
No, please don't.
for like 5 minutes while Jake tells his story.
I do want people to listen to our podcast.
Wow, I'm really sorry to tell you, Ames, but
Half of us do, half of us don't. It's
Evidently,
constant
yeah.
tension.
I want people to listen. I just want them to have to listen to everything I say. To be fair.
Do a Caitlyn supercut.
Oh man. No, because the thing is a Caitlyn supercut would just be like, ha, dicks! That would be the whole thing, just over and over again.
So, the thing for me is, like, the problem for me was just that, like, you're right. The main plot, like, I guess was kind of interesting, but it needed to work better with the B plot, and the B plot was bad. Because Archer's
it was
Archer.
Yeah,
it
and the
could've been
grapplers
good.
worked for a change.
Yeah,
Grappler
they
worked.
did.
Archer was like, can we genocide these Klingons, maybe?
Right?
I appreciate, maybe, the restraint on the writers. In that they had, Trip do the harpooning, and didn't have him do something about, like, we hog-tied it like a bull at a rodeo! Yee-haw!
I don't think that's Floridian.
It isn't, but it's generic. It's generic Southern, and I don't
Wait, he's
trust
from
these
Florida?
writers to know
Yeah,
the
that
difference.
will be a wrangling on like a gator, maybe.
There we go.
There you go. He wrangled
Yeah,
a
he's,
gator.
he's Floridian. Yeah,
Why has he got an accent?
because Floridians sometimes have accents.
Floridians sometimes have accents.
No.
No, a friend of mine is Floridian, and whenever he goes home to Florida, comes back and his accent is like, ha ha, it's very
It's
funny.
resurfaced.
It's
Well,
a
I
good
mean,
one.
when I used to go home for Christmas break in college, I would come back with an accent, but like,
But some Floridians do have like a twang.
that's
It
wild.
just depends on the part of Florida.
It's the
Wow,
South.
I didn't realize that fucking Florida could be any worse. Thank you for that.
Yay.
Sorry, no offense to your friend names.
Oh, he knows.
Okay, good.
Don't get us wrong. Like, all offense to Florida. I love, my greatest wish
Well,
is that
there
we
goes our 2 listeners from Florida.
actually
probably.
could saw it off like in that Bugs Bunny cartoon. That would
They-
solve so many of our problems.
There are planes, though. They could still get to us.
We need a big space laser just to like cut a big.
Mm.
But
big
then how would we
chunk
get to
off of Florida.
Disney World?
There's one in California. We'll just use that
That's
one.
Disneyland. It's smaller.
Well,
Yeah.
they'll build that one up. Anyway,
There's
sorry.
earthquakes in California.
All right, we'll build one in.
There's fucking
I don't
flooding
know.
and shit in Florida. Though.
We'll build one in
They all
Jersey.
suck. Everywhere sucks.
That's
is
true.
The answer.
Everywhere does sucks.
Except New Zealand. That place seems pretty awesome.
Seems pretty cool. Yeah,
Plus, they talk great.
they do.
Yeah, they get good talks.
And there's Kiwi.
It's Australia without the terror bugs. And yeah, Kiwis are great.
They
They
don't
are
have
so
terror bugs in New
big.
Zealand?
How big are Kiwis?
Like the size of a fucking chicken.
Oh, well, it's not.
I always thought they were like
I thought they were smaller
Like this?
also.
like the size of a pigeon, but
No, they're big
no, they're
boys.
like they're like I've seen photos like grown adults holding them like in 2 arms. They are big.
Big chonkers.
There are I think there is a subspecies that's
Honking
kind of
chonky
small,
birds.
but the actual mainline kiwi is much bigger than you'd realize.
Aw.
Mainline
I
kiwi. I,
want
don't
to
know how to feel
snuggle.
about that. Same.
Do you know what Zealandia? You guys really? I learned about this recently.
Zealandia?
No, tell me more.
So
Is it a theme park?
no.
Damn it. Son of a
Zealandia
bitch.
is an actual real life, mostly lost continent.
Oh, I did just read about this. Yes.
So New Zealand is basically like a mountain range
Okay.
that is on this continent that used to be in the Pacific Ocean. I don't know if it was the Pacific Ocean at the time. Probably wasn't anything at the time because there were no humans, but where New Zealand was another continent. Smaller continent.
So
smaller.
Is the
not
continent
Pan-
still there and underwater?
So
or-
outside of Pangea,
it might have been part of it. It was
what?
probably part of
Yeah,
it.
they just recently mapped it, and I think what they think is it had been, but when the continents broke apart, unlike the others, it just kind of sank.
Oh. Oh, giant kiwi
Oh my
bird.
god.
Yeah,
it's
no, they are
fucking
much
huge.
larger than you'd think.
I want a kiwi and I want a fucking capybara.
Aw, friend.
Wow, how did we get here? So, Florida man is
Florida, yeah, we're talking about Chip's
harpooning.
accent.
Yeah, which is like gotta be a real insult to Reed that like they bullseye a fucking moving target with the harpoon and Reed's not even at the controls.
Well, he's just so used to fuck.
Good.
I was gonna do a womp rat joke because Luke is basically from space Florida.
I did adore it when, Hoshi doing a good job with all the translating. 'Cause
Yeah.
It sounded like a lot of, jargon and shit. And she's like, something, photon torpedoes. And out of fucking nowhere, Reed just pops up like a fucking, whack-a-mole. Like, oh!
and they
You said the magic word.
They're definitely stealing that technology.
Oh, they should.
Yeah, I made many jokes about just his raging boner whenever they talk about weapons.
Yeah, but
He did.
we know that they have photon torpedoes in the future.
Mm.
They don't have them now.
Mm-mm.
The Klingons do have them. Questionable, Reed.
Where's your prime directive now? Oh, wait.
It's funny. They get to the galley, And I go, apparently the Klingons haven't invented refrigeration. Then the door opens and she walks out of the fridge like, well, that's me immediately proven wrong.
Yes.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. You'll recall that Klingons, they probably are like refrigerating vegetables and shit. Like shit that would go bad because they do not eat meat that's been dead for very long.
Yeah.
Kern, if you'll recall, gets very upset when they try to feed him a
Turkey, I think, right?
Yeah. How long has this bird been dead?
Well, that's why they keep the targs alive.
I was gonna say, they even mentioned that in this episode. They're like, they like their meat to be fresh.
Oh,
I didn't realize they ate
pretty,
targs. That
pretty
made me pretty... Well, I mean, that's because it had probably been served days ago before they all got the space madness or whatever.
Do you think that's how they, like, when the time comes, is that how you deal with your pet with honor?
Eating it? Possibly.
Klingons would have survived getting to the South Pole. They had no problem eating the dogs.
Jesus.
Scott.
Yeah. And the horses.
I mean, it could just be. I mean, maybe there's different. Like, there are people that have pet cows and pigs.
Yeah, and chickens,
and they're delicious.
And so there's livestock targs and there's pet targs.
And sometimes the pet targs become the livestock targs.
Maybe this is like the Scott expedition.
Or
I just said that.
Oh, I missed
or
it.
your or your bitch wife lets your targ out.
That's right.
Oh, Lady Sorella, I love
Never
you.
saw him again. God, I love that bitch.
So good.
That is still just one of the best things. Is how much he loves his horrible
crazy
wife.
bitch of a wife. She said the targ goes or I go, and I said, well, you know what's gonna happen, and she said, oh yeah, and let that motherfucker out the door. I never loved her more than I loved her in that moment.
Well, speaking of,
pretty badass though.
No, she's the best.
Did you notice that they said tough little ship, and then all the fans wanked?
What happened?
They said tough little ship.
Who said?
That's what Riker says to Worf.
Oh, right.
I missed it.
I missed it too, to be honest.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because that's what Riker says to Worf. They say it another time in First Contact?
That is.
Okay, what's the other time they say it?
That's the only time I can.
No, there's another time they say
Oh,
tough
is
little
there?
ship in Star Trek. And
They say
this
one-
is
they
the
say
third
one
time
little
now.
ship.
You sure you're not thinking of nice, good tea, nice house?
No.
I know.
Because those are different words entirely.
What? No. Fair enough.
Yeah, I'm not sure when else. They probably do say it another time, but the time I was thinking of is in First Contact.
Yeah, I think
Because Worf goes, little. He's offended.
Mm-hmm.
I'd look it up, but I don't care at the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed the on the sub stuff just because it also feels so cramped. It was never quite as tense as it probably could be, because by the time you realize, oh, you guys are getting crushed to death. It took me all episode to realize you were in actual danger because you're not really acting like it.
Well, they didn't do a good job, at all showing that until the end. And then they're like, oh shit, the ship is
We have
crushing.
to get out of here. And then Hoshi screams at them, just light all the fucking photon torpedoes. And you're like, Hoshi, do you know physics? Do you know what's going to happen?
No, but she's finally learned how to meditate, and she is her best self now.
Look, she's basically like, all right, my options are either crushed to death, or we try this insane plan that will either work or vaporize me.
Die with honor.
Yeah, like, I'd rather be vaporized or live than get crushed.
I actually think this could have been interesting if they had found another living Klingon on that was still on the ship. Who had
Conscious Klingon. Though,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
most
Oh,
of
yeah,
them
they're
are
all
still
but
alive.
like another conscious Klingon who like
Conscious Klingon.
they would have had to like work together to fix the ship.
I think that's part of the disappointment, too, is, like, because they had Archer be such a fucking dweeb,
Kapla!
we really just didn't get... Because usually, like, let's be honest, usually whenever a Klingon, a woman Klingon shows up, it's a good time. You know, we've got Lady...
Hey.
Lady...
Telling
Oh
me.
boy, not when we get to our Chekhov discussion today.
I don't know. TNG on.
Okay, all right,
no.
sure.
If there's a titty window, it's about to be a good time.
No, I just mean like, but yeah, Lady Cirilla, Grilka,
Kalar,
like they're usually some of the best written Klingons we get.
Laurel.
But this
Which
poor
one was
woman gets to
the
do
one that married Quark.
Grilka.
That's Grilka, right?
But like,
talk about Lursa and Beator.
That's it. Yeah,
they're all right.
They're presences.
Yes.
They have presence.
This woman isn't a presence because they don't give her anything to work off of. She's working off of fucking 2% milk as a human.
Oh, the comment Jake made was, why is she talking like an NPC in a video game?
Yeah.
She even her facial expressions that the actress was doing kind
Yeah.
of like
Didn't match anything she was saying ever.
It was very
Maybe.
Obsidian.
like NPC.
Obsidian?
It's a video game.
Oh, sure.
She seemed very pleased with herself about the beer that they
Patrick
drank.
The voice actor.
Yes,
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is I think that was part of the disappointment. Was like usually when a Klingon woman shows up, she's a presence. That's a great way to put it. And she just... And I don't blame the actress. I blame the writing. And again, putting her up against Archer.
Captain Milquetoast.
It's Oblivion.
Oh, yeah, Obsidian's a publisher.
Yeah, they're the publisher.
Oh, Oblivion, like Skyrim? The Skyrim games?
Yeah, it was the fourth one, the one right before Skyrim.
The one your sister really liked.
Yes.
It's pretty good. I haven't played it in long enough to have forgotten the name, so...
Oh, speaking of NPCs, oh boy, Mayweather got another line.
Oh, God,
And-
poor Mayweather.
and
It's such
I-
a shame.
And I just wrote down, shut up, Mayweather. No one cares about your childhood after everything that happened in... What was the episode we just
Fortunate Son.
Fortunate fucking Son.
You know what's amazing? I forgot he had a line, except you just reminded me, he said something and I went, shut up, Mayweather.
Yes!
But then I forgot he had a line, even though just like you, I went, shut up, Mayweather.
We used
Poor
to call
Mayweather.
them sirens.
That's right, yeah. Shut up, Mayweather.
No one asked you.
He did, although,
Poor
to his credit,
Mayweather.
he did get put in charge of the bridge again, and we didn't get subjected to another scene of him
Getting caught sitting in the captain's
creaming
chair.
in the chair.
Wow.
Kept your chair warm for you, Captain. You
Oh,
farted
no,
all over it, didn't you,
Trip.
Trip?
Oh, and they're Floridian farts, too.
Oh, they smell like gator and Cajun food. That's not Florida, but that's what Trip is to me. I feel like Trip should be from Louisiana.
Here's the thing. I feel like they say he's from Florida, but really he's just the South. And I think the writers probably don't understand either. They're just treating him as... It's kind of like how originally they weren't going to define where Sulu was from, so he could be sort of just Pan-Asian. Trip is Pan-American Southern.
Pan-South American? No, wait. That's not it.
Yeah, both episodes this week also had these kind of like nothing teasers, which is everything before the opening credits. Because the first one was just Phlox feeding his animals, and that was it.
And eating a caterpillar.
All that happens was, I think he picked up a turd from one of them or
He
something.
did, yeah.
Unless it was an egg,
was
I don't
supposed to be
quite
an
know.
egg.
It looked like a turd. I'm pretty sure it was a turd. And then this one was just Reed and Hoshi doing target practice.
Yeah.
And all they're doing is target practice, and then suddenly, we've dropped out of warp, and that's it. That's all that happened in that teaser.
Again, like his cold, I was expecting that to matter again later. But it mattered so little.
We put a gun in her hands in the sub, and nothing happens with it.
Yeah, because I honestly forgot, when you said that there was a nothing opening, I had already we watched this several hours ago today, and I'd already forgotten what the cold open was.
Cold open.
Yeah, I feel like
this show.
Enterprise in particular doesn't know how to
Structure?
Maybe that's what it is, yeah. Create tension.
Yeah, they definitely can't do that.
The most tense thing so far has been those shroomies walking around in the dark corridors in that one from last week.
Yeah.
With the shroom people.
That one, yeah.
I think so far my takeaway is there's no real interesting characters. I feel like the other shows...
By this time, we're 14 episodes in.
I know, it's killing me.
There was already interesting shit going on. I already thought B'Elanna was cool, and I wanted to know more about her. I already thought that Tom Paris was cool and wanted to know more about her. I already thought the Doctor was cool and wanted to know more, etc., etc. Never thought Chakotay was cool.
He's chill. He's not cool.
And the same with the DS9 cast.
Yeah, from day one, the DS9 cast.
Admittedly, TNG had some pretty milquetoast characters, but they had a few standouts. Data, I guess. Riker.
There was enough there to keep you going this might get good.
Yeah.
And once they fixed the writer's room, it did.
But this show just hasn't given me reason to give a shit about any of the characters whatsoever.
I lay so much at the feet of the producers. They clearly just chickened out on everything. The more I think about it, Jake, the more your point from a week or two ago with were they trying to avoid TV 14 ratings? I kind of wonder if that actually did factor in.
But we were going to apply more goo in the decon room.
We
right?
didn't even put the goo on this week, though.
Why didn't Archer go in the decon?
I had the same question.
I said.
He did.
Archer? No, he didn't. Archer was right back on the bridge.
No. I'm saying Chris did say
Oh,
that.
Chris did say
No.
that. Yes,
Absolutely no.
okay.
Sorry, I was confirming that Chris said that.
I believe-
when we were
yeah, I
watching
believe-
it.
Archer was on the Klingon ship too.
Yeah. Like,
Well,
what?
maybe he did. Listen, let's just assume that he deconned on his own, and they spared us having to look at Scott Bakula's mostly naked body. I've already seen him mostly naked too many times.
We're only 14 episodes in.
I mean, I just watch a lot of Scott Bakula porn.
Oh, really?
Yeah, big time.
I had no idea he did porn.
It's a huge Pornhub genre. It's like they have a whole category. Scott Bakula.
Scott Bear Bakula.
That's really good.
That is.
That is great.
Hey,
ever-
bring in the blue.
If I ever go into porn, I know my name now.
Scott Bear Bakula. Oh my god.
Oh, your catchline is, oh boy!
Kapla!
Oh my god. Alright, we ain't topping that. Let's move on to Chekov.
We're moving on to Chekov. You know, another
Scott Bear Bakula is doing all the topping.
another character that we also probably know more about than any of these characters, and he only joined in season 2.
The Russians... I was gonna refer back to the Russians not handling things well, but positively. I don't know.
You know, like a little lady in Leningrad.
The inventors of Scotch.
Okay, so I'm gonna start.
All right, did you prepare the correct character this week?
I did!
Yay!
I did!
So tell us about Uhura.
I joked earlier in our chat. I was like, oh fuck, I thought it was Odo week.
Oh no.
So I got 3 for our boy Chekov.
Yes.
And this is gonna sound like negatives.
Ready for it.
They're gonna sound like negatives, but I'm gonna explain why they're good.
Most of mine seem the same, so.
Being a little wimp in the Deadly Years, because that's the title, right?
Yes, it is.
Because, like, he didn't come across like a horribly mangled or mutilated. He came across an old guy, like, dead in a chair. Which sucks, but does not justify... "Ah!" But because he was such a little pants-wetting coward, they found a cure for the old age disease.
There you go.
2,
Pants wetting coward.
getting his ass murdered at the OK Corral.
Really?
Because that's how they realized they don't have to follow the story.
Right, because his character
Was
wasn't supposed to die.
Yep. And 3, an actual good moment for our poor ham sandwich loving boy. Well, that's technically not Pavel, but, you know. Letting Uhura go first in Star Trek 4.
That's a really good one?
Because, yeah, like, he's letting someone else go. He's taking a risk, and it did almost kill him.
It entirely inconvenienced everyone else on the ship.
Well, that's because they chose to go back for him.
Ugh.
He had a serious head injury.
Yeah, I'm just saying, he chose to let someone else go first. And that's, you know, I'm a coward. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, you would.
I don't know. I still think it's the worst idea because you don't leave a Russian in 1984.
Come on, they didn't know that. They
86.
didn't even know what money was. Practically.
86.
Yeah.
What, 86? What a great year. Not really.
Those are mine.
He'll have to vaporize you. Does he threaten to vaporize that guy? Or no, does he say vaporize or stun?
Stun.
He
He said,
does
I will have to stun you.
Yeah, okay, good. Then he doesn't
pretty good impression.
He doesn't vaporize him. I'll go.
Will you?
This is like one of my favorite lines, and I think that Walter does a great job delivering it. In
Now I know you're lying.
in Star Trek 6,
Oh, in 6.
when they have detected a power surge emanating from beneath the ship, they say, Chekov, are you detecting any power surges? And he goes, only the size of my head.
That is a
That
good
is
line.
a good delivery. Yeah, I forgot
As he-
about
as
that
he's
line.
extremely hungover, and I liked that delivery. So good on you. I only thought of this one because this episode was on TV the other day, but kind of taking over for Spock in the Immunity Syndrome when Spock's AFK. Chekov kind of takes over.
Oh, the science station.
For the science.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, so like he's not just the kid that sits
Just
next
a
to.
pretty face.
He's not just the kid that sits next to Sulu. He's also does sciencey shit sometimes. Last one is another another. I don't know. I guess a good Walter moment, but when our crew is putting the siege on Friendship Planet Paradise, whatever.
Yeah, from 5.
5.
Okay.
He's on the horn, sweet talking Cybok to distract him.
Yeah. Captain
He's
Chekov.
like, hey, baby, what you wearing?
And he does a good job.
What the fuck is that town called?
It was called like
Not Neural.
Friendship One.
I'll remember it later.
Yeah, I'll look it up.
It'll be great.
Nimbus? Was it Nimbus?
Maybe. No, I think Nimbus was the planet.
Oh, and the town was called something stupid.
Yeah, it was something like symbolic and dumb.
Yeah.
Nimbus 3, maybe?
Anyway.
But anywho.
Good choices, Jake. Do you have any, Caitlin? You love Chekov.
I do
You
love
gotta have a
Chekov.
whole list.
Oh, boy. You would think that. One of my favorites is when he doesn't snitch like a bitch that Scotty started the fight in Trouble with Tribbles. Holds his tongue.
Good
Good
job.
man. Good man. Man, I don't know. They're all good, dude. The thing is like the original series was so long ago. And my memory from today is bad. I'm trying to think what else.
Well, I know you also play him when you do.
Well, yeah, but
things from
that's
Star
the other
Trek.
thing too.
What are
is,
some good moments from then?
Well, so the problem is my favorite one isn't real because he's not in the Naked Time.
Oh no,
He's not in there. And Liz does take some liberties for me to like get me lines and stuff, and she's good to me. Doesn't he like do some weird dancing stuff to try to like fake people out at one point?
In High Mud,
High
yes,
Mud.
that's
High
a good
Mud.
one.
I like that. I feel
That's
like
a
he
good
really
one.
gets into it.
He does.
And
I've already got a screenshot for that one because
Perfect.
I knew that one was going to come up.
And the delivery of Botany Bay. Oh no, is great. It doesn't really feel like that counts, but for me it counts because it's one of my favorite moments. And man, what a scream he gives when he gets the bug in the ear.
That's true.
Oh,
That's a good
yeah.
scream.
Yeah.
He is, yeah.
And he
he's putting in
survives the
work.
bug in the ear too. Like he that thing comes out of him and he's still
Yeah.
alive, which is more than I can say about Terrell.
Well, he's Russian. They're used to
Terrell-
suffering.
Terrell
True.
just like
Oh God, poor Terrell.
shot himself to avoid shooting Kirk.
Yeah.
Rip Terrell.
But
Things don't go well for
Chekov
him.
also didn't shoot Kirk, so
Yeah, so both of them did a great
they
job
did a
not
good job
shooting
not
Kirk.
shooting Kirk.
As tempting as it was.
But we're not having a Terrell day, so we'll just, honorable mention for Terrell. I got a couple more to list off of. He destroys the space potato in the motion picture.
He does do
I don't remember this at all.
I was trying to think of a way to work in that stupid scene. Thank
when
you.
the ship, when the
It's
warp
great.
drive goes crazy and they get stuck in a warp thing with a asteroid that looks like a potato.
And his already crazy accent sounds even crazier in slow motion.
Yeah.
Photon torpedoes. Except it was like 45 seconds
It was
because
so long.
it was the motion picture and they did not know how to edit.
They didn't. They really didn't. I also just find this charming, but Hurricane Walter in The Final Frontier I find very endearing. When he's being the wing, he's like, there's a storm coming in.
Hurricane Walter.
I did consider that, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, even though, like, I wouldn't be surprised if any of you put it on your bad moments list, but I think it's just adorable.
Oh shit, bad moments. I don't have any of those.
Oh,
I barely had good moments.
I just want to remark how interesting it is how many times the Final Frontier has come up in our good moments.
Yeah,
list so
I mentioned
far.
it a few weeks ago in an episode that hasn't gone live
But
yet.
like it's still like I remember you saying that and it keeps coming
does.
back up.
It
There are
really-
good
There's
character
like a lot of
moments.
good moments
Are we
in that
talking?
movie.
Is that 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 is a good, entertaining movie. There are things about it that are complete shit, but there's lots of good stuff in there,
I think
man.
we're learning this.
I've sort of always.
You've always known.
liked it
You-
a little
you-
bit.
You knew.
I said
We
that.
were
There are
doubters.
definitely I would rather. Well, that's right. Actually, when we ranked them all, I would rather watch 5 than 1 or 3 any day of the week. 6 is definitely probably the best, and 2 is great, and 4 is great. But 3 is terrible, and 1 was barely watchable, and 5 at least, honestly, 5 for me is worth the price of admission just by the opening scene where Cybok is chilling with Voldemort, and Voldemort somehow knows that he's a Vulcan. That for me is one of my most quoted Star Trek lines, and I fucking love it. So, good job, Shatner.
I mean,
I
it's certainly better than most of the TNG films.
Oh, yes, I would rather watch that than any of the TNG films, save First Contact.
Yeah, First Contact.
First Contact's great. Plus, we get sexy Borg Queen, and you know how we feel about that.
You don't like to see Picard get his knob polished by that lady?
I like Insurrection.
Insurrection.
But I do have a couple more Chekov moments that I also like.
Yay, tell us, Ames.
I think it was nice that he went shopping with Uhura.
I thought that too.
Yay!
I almost said that. I was like, it's so nice because, like, you know,
it's just a sweet little moment. Like, oh yeah, you guys are buddies. I mean,
she wanted to go shopping, and I thought that would help her.
I mean,
yeah,
sure,
nice
it's like,
job.
oh yeah, we need something for Chekov to do for a scene. You know, might as well have him hang out with Uhura. I love that. I love all the little screams when he's in the agony booth in Mirror Mirror.
Oh yeah,
after his mutiny.
Walter Koenig gives good scream.
What was he fucking thinking? Mirror Chekhov's like, yes, I'm the helmsman or whatever. Surely this will work. He clearly doesn't understand his position.
Right, just a couple honorable mentions. His little PowerPoint presentation in Spock's brain was very funny. He also used the phaser rock Sulu maneuver in Spock's brain. But really, most of the credit there still goes to Sulu.
Yeah.
Well, wait, is that a Sulu maneuver or is that a Yeoman Rand maneuver?
Well, she
did the
coffee. You're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
It's coffee
you're right.
specifically. It's Rand. If it's a rock, it's Sulu.
Well, wait, didn't Doc also do a rock?
Yeah, but it was still after
Sulu first. Okay, fair enough. I couldn't remember, so thank you.
Now, what happens though if you use the heated rock to make coffee? Is that like a Rand Sulu maneuver?
Well, I think that's actually just a brand new thing at that point.
That would be a Chris maneuver because you're the first one.
Yeah. And you're a coffee fanatic, so it all works.
Absolutely plotting to mutiny with Sulu and Turnabout Intruder when the woman was acting as Kirk's body and everything was wrong and God, she needed to stop. But possibly the best thing Chekov did in the entire franchise was not being in TAS.
Good job, Walter.
But he did write the Infinite Vulcan.
But that wasn't Pavel.
True.
That was just Walter.
Wait, which was the Infinite Vulcan?
The one with the giant Spock.
Spock
Giant
2.
Spock.
You remember Spock 2?
No, I have, like, honestly...
I wrote a whole fanfic about Spock 2.
I don't remember that either.
Caitlin rarely gets our fanfics.
That was the one where Tuvok met
Spock 2.
Well, he met Spock 4.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It was a descendant of Spock 2.
Right, he didn't shrink down. It was a later one.
Yes.
God. All right, I got 2 moments for Pavel.
2 of them.
Where we're gonna be like, oh, Pavel, come on, man. One, and I know we've probably already said about, but like, aside from Kirk, he's probably the most overtly racist about the Klingons in 6.
Oh God, yeah.
It's
like, come on.
Coming to dinner.
Come on, Pavel.
Why'd you make him sound like Cheech? Or like Chong?
And my other one...
What the
Jesus.
Fuck? You did.
I thought I was doing a Russian thing. It didn't work.
He killed Spock.
Which time?
By half-assing scanning the SETI Alpha system, he set the events of Wrath of Khan into motion.
Like what? You mean we can't just have one little organism?
No, not even that. He
Does
didn't
it have
notice.
to be completely lifeless?
That's
He didn't notice a whole ass planet was missing.
Not just but yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was he the only one? So what? The science officer couldn't have noticed?
Apparently, at the time, it was his job to look at the scanner and look at the system. I'm just saying.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, that's the one.
Yeah, Chekov fucked up scanning the SETI Alpha system, and Wrath of Khan happened.
Yeah.
Wow, this is bullshit.
But again, and that was on my list. Although for me, it was actually the, one tiny life form. There's like 50 fucking people. Like it's not
True.
like he's
Yeah,
like
but
maybe it's a piece of inanimate matter stuck on the sensor. No, there's like a shitload of people.
Well, but maybe like the Botany Bay was shielding them somehow or something.
They weren't even in the Botany Bay. They were out hanging outside.
Oh, I thought that they were camping in that thing.
Well, they were, but when Tyrell and Chekov went down there, they were outside.
Well, but maybe they booked it when they saw the ship coming in or
maybe.
something. I don't
How
know.
hard, really, would it be to find a completely lifeless planetoid?
Pretty fucking easy.
Yeah.
Especially if your machine is fucking magic and can
Maybe
turn anything into
it's
a
not.
planet.
Maybe it also has to be like in the habitable zone of a star.
True. That's gonna, that's gonna
narrows it
complicate
down. Like
things.
you need like a Mercury type planet,
But in the habitation
but
zone.
in the habitable zone.
Yeah, okay.
Well, right, but if it's in the habitable zone, probably it's inhabited by something.
Yeah.
By a space flea.
So it's completely lifeless. Like the other thing is like on that planet, like
On
Sure,
this
we
moon.
find a couple dozen of Khan's followers. They're subsisting on something.
Yeah.
So there's probably a lot more stuff
Yeah,
going down on that
They're
planet.
probably just eating those bugs.
Still, there's a
that means
lot
there's
of
a lot
them.
of bugs.
Yeah, no, Chekhov
So-
really screwed the
We
pooch
don't
on
know
that
if
one.
there's some
Poor
Donner
Chekhov.
Party shit going on too. Yeah.
Look, I mostly have nice things to say
Yeah,
about him, but
That's what really happened to Khan's wife.
Hmm.
They were like,
no,
"Oh yeah, she got sick, and we
McGivers.
ate the fuck
I
out
mean-
of her."
there definitely were a lot more people in Space Seed than Wrath of Khan, so non-zero chance.
Long
Anyway, so I'm
pig.
gonna swap. So yeah, I did have that on my list, but I'm gonna swap it out. This was just kind of silly. It's like one of those iconic moments. I just always found it to be kind of stupid and unnecessary. Nuclear vessels
That's what I said in Alameda.
in Alameda.
Well, you're wrong, but that's all right.
That's fair.
No, you're not wrong. It's cool. But
I just find it very, very dumb that he says Wessels, because
Yeah, 'cause
that
he doesn't
isn't even-
normally talk like that.
that isn't even part of the accent.
Oh, that's when he says vaporize.
When
Talking about the shoes in Star Trek 6.
when he didn't check Dax's fucking feet.
Well, yeah, specifically the crewman Dax Cinderella thing. It's just goofy. Which I actually like the scene, but it's like it makes him look pretty dopey.
It does.
I'm gonna say getting played by his ex in The Way to Eden.
Yeah.
Who basically just tricks him into giving up everything.
Yeah, I remember that episode, us being like, wow, Chekhov is acting entirely out of character the whole episode long, because the girl, Irina, was basically like, for this free spirit thing, and Chekhov is suddenly like this hard-ass
That's
military
right.
type
Yeah.
out of fucking nowhere?
Mm.
Who is this man?
Yeah, I forgot about that.
And I had an honorable mention. I'll just bring it up, even though we'd say those at the end because it already did come up with another thing. But just say exactly what Caitlin said earlier about Mirror Chekhov's. What the fuck did he think he was doing with that mutiny?
Yeah,
What an idiot.
Chekhov, who the fuck do you think you are? You're Chekhov. We pay you in ham sandwiches. I think him almost losing his cool during Trouble with Tribbles is pretty lame. Like, it's cool that he doesn't give it up when Scotty starts the fight, but Scotty's got to hold him back. He's a little hot-headed,
That's right. That's right.
He's often making goofy jokes during serious situations on the bridge and getting told off by Spock for it. And, well, he got captured in Alameda, and I prefer soldiers who don't get captured. Fucking asswipe. Sorry. Been watching a lot of political Seth Meyers, but lots of shit and just being aggravated in general. But yeah, no. But yeah, definitely mutiny. What a fool. Who the fuck does he think he is? What are you doing?
I mean, that was Mirror Chekhov, and if there's one thing we've learned, it's that the mirror versions are often so stupid.
Except for a whore. Oh no, wait, that wasn't. That was regular.
That was
Uhura
real Uhura
pretending
blending
and
in.
being sexy as fuck. My
Yeah.
God, did we talk about how hot she was last week?
We did.
Probably.
I hope so, because my God, was she hot.
Actual Mirror Uhura got her ass captured the second she walked off that transporter pad. No one's brought up the worst fucking Chekhov moment because it's fucking terrible.
Hit us with it, Ames.
He tried to rape Mara in Day of the Dove.
Oh my God, what?
Oh my fuck, that's right!
I don't remember that.
I don't remember this either, but
Yeah, so granted, yes, he was under influence of the pinwheel monster that was making everybody angry.
Was Mara
Yeah,
the
but nobody
Klingon
got
woman?
that angry.
Mara was the Klingon woman.
Okay.
He
And
tried to rape a Klingon?
Yep.
He tried to start a mutiny? Who the fuck does he think he is? She would have ripped his dick
Yeah,
off
I
and
totally didn't
shoved it
remember
down his
that
throat.
This even happened.
Yeah, we
You don't try to
after
rape
that
a Klingon woman.
Like, that's like, it's a very out of place moment in that episode.
Yeah.
Alright. Brain altered thing or not, Chekhov. This is not what this show is about.
No.
Jesus God, no.
That's awful, dude. I didn't remember that at all.
And the
Shame on you, Walter.
more disgusting, weird sex things. I just remember in The Apple when he was constantly hitting on Yeoman Martha Landon.
Oh, yeah.
And they were trying to have this sex talk of what do the people do for sex, but they're not allowed to say sex in the show for some reason.
Well, it's 1968.
Yeah, and so it's them talking around, what do they do? Well, I don't know. They're probably really innocent. They probably just, do like hand stuff. But they're not even allowed to say that.
They do hand stuff.
And the whole scene was so awkward and bad.
Like holding hands or hand jobs? What kind of hand stuff are we talking about?
Yes.
Says Chekov.
Like Vulcans, and
Patty
where it's the
cake.
same.
Oh,
would
patty cake. Patty cake. Fucking love that movie. Anyway.
I would love to have heard Walter Koenig in his
What
fucking...
excuse could we have to do a 10 forward on that movie?
Who needs an excuse? Let's just do
I
it.
don't know what movie you're talking
Roger
Roger
Rabbit.
Rabbit. I just love the idea of hearing Walter Koenig in his Chekov voice say, maybe they do hand stuff.
about.
Maybe they do hand stuff.
There it is. I love it. Whining and whining and whining like a little bitch about all the tests he had to go through in the deadly years when his crewmates were literally dying of old age. God damn it, Chekov.
I am so young and virile. Why do I need tests? Virile. I am very young and virile.
And finally, one last one, because the rest are kind of all jokes. This one's a joke too. Early season 2 wig.
Oh, yeah.
Especially, and here I'll bring up the picture because the picture's great. I think the one in Who Mourns for Adonais might be the worst. It's absolutely atrocious. You can go out and see it up on the Tumblr, where this certainly is.
Speaking of which, you guys haven't seen this.
What is it?
Oh, did you get one of the new ones?
Oh, with a hand.
Oh, I'm so jealous. They have a bunch of good ones this year.
Yeah, my mom got it.
Oh, your mom's
nice.
awesome. Seriously, tell her to call me. We'll go on the road.
That is... Like, that's not even a Beatles or Monkeys wig. That is a woman's wig.
That's a woman's bob.
Yeah.
It's dumb.
They couldn't find a
It's
Beatles
so-
wig in 1967?
And it's so clearly fake. It's the fakest wig you've ever seen.
Well, it
Yeah.
looks really pretty, though. I mean, so at least they got what they were wanting.
I don't know if that's what they were wanting.
No, they
And
wanted him to
honestly,
be
it
the
looks like
heartthrob
they
character.
accidentally gave him Nichelle Nichols' wig.
Kinda.
He needs a little more eyeliner. But he's a pretty boy.
What is that face?
That's a
I've
sexy
been
man.
a bad boy. I've been a very naughty comrade.
Aww. He has, and he knows it. And that's why all these things have made the list, so you all can check out, what actually I ended up putting on this list. It'll be up on our Tumblr, links below. Do the thing.
Check out Chekov.
One more, I don't know why I did this, because we're not going to have a ton to say. It'll be the quickest one yet. Next week, we're going to do Chapel, just to round things out.
She made soup. She's a good girl. And it's Majel.
And it's major.
What's not to love? It's Majel.
Chapel and number 1? No.
Nah.
All right, well.
Computer.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. That time she was being really sassy.
Narrows it down. This has been episode 323
It sure has.
Sure
of A
has.
Star to
Good
Steer
job.
Her By. Please follow us on Facebook and Twitter and SoundCloud and Tumblr. You can also get to our Tumblr via sshbpodcast.com. Next week, we will be looking at Shadows of Pajem and Shuttlepod 1. So join us next week. This has been Chris.
This has been Ames.
This has been Caitlin.
And this is always me, Jake.
Wessels.
Okay, so one time my boss was like, my kids got all this Halloween candy.
Good.
But I can't just give my kids a giant pile of Halloween
Why
candy.
not?
Will this be going up like at an appropriate time, or will Halloween have passed? Anyway, go on.
No, this will be.
So
Yes, this will be after.
so he
Halloween.
brought in
Close
a
enough.
giant jar, like a mason jar kind of thing, filled with M&Ms.
Into work.
Hell
to
yeah.
work. They're like
Ooh.
here, I brought these M&Ms. My kids had all these M&Ms, so I was just bringing them in to
Share the wealth.
Share the wealth.
I knew you fat fucks would like them.
Yeah. So I'm like, yes, please. So I take a big old handful of these M&Ms and I jam in my face. I start eating them and I say,
Oh no.
these are M&Ms
Uh-oh.
and Skittles.
Fuck.
He got you!
He got
Did
me.
he do it on purpose?
No, he just.
Oh,
he
man.
did it.
I would have had more respect
It
for
was
him
like
if he had.
a 50-50 blend of M&Ms and
Oh
Skittles.
my god.
That's wretched.
So when I said earlier that M&Ms mixed with anything was good, I forgot about the M&M Skittles.
See, I've
Debacle.
seen that as a prank that people pull, and I think it's brilliant. And I'm sad that he didn't do it on purpose.
I mean, he may have. I don't think he didn't cop to it.
Yeah, why would you put? Why otherwise would you knowingly put the two things in the same jar?
I don't. He wasn't a big candy eater himself, so maybe he didn't know. I don't know.
God, that's so